Hello my dear students, good morning. So in this session, I am going to explain about thermoanalytical methods. So this is a chapter 2.3 which comes under paper 6. Okay. So in BSc 5th semester under paper 6 unit 2 chapter 2.3 we are going to discuss about thermoanalytical methods. So let us have introduction to thermal methods of analysis. So what is meant by thermal methods of analysis? As the name itself says, thermal means heat or the temperature. What happens to a sample when it is heated? Okay. So the physical and chemical changes which undergoes to a sample when it is heated are the characteristic of the material being examined. Okay. So that is what we are going to examine in thermal analysis. So the physical and chemical changes are characteristic for each and every compound. Okay. So whether it is an organic compound or inorganic compound, it will have its own physical and chemical properties. That means not all the organic compounds or inorganic compounds will have the same melting point or boiling point. Okay. So the melting point, boiling point of each respective compounds are different. In the same way, the density and also the various different physical and chemical properties of a compound or a sample which is under examine is different. Okay. So it is characteristic. Characteristic means each and every compound will have its own specific melting point or boiling point or viscosity or density. Okay. So like this various physical and chemical properties will differ based on the sample. Okay. So this is measured in thermal methods of analysis. How we are going to measure is when the compound is heated, when the sample which is under examination is heated, so there we observe certain physical and chemical changes. So that is measured with the help of the instrument. So this type of analysis, this method of analysis is called as thermal methods of analysis. Okay. So what happens here? So by measuring the temperature at which such reactions occur and the heat involved in the reactions, we can characterize the compound present in the material. Okay. So by examining what sort of reaction is going to take place. Say for example, if the compound contains hydrated molecules, that means water molecules, when we heat it, what happens? Obviously the water molecule is going to get eliminated or water is going to get liberated. Okay. So when this water molecule liberates, so it is called as dehydration, and with the removal of that water molecule, what compound is left? So that can be characterized. So what is the compound which is present in the material, in the sample which is under examination? So that can be determined by performing thermal methods of analysis. Further, the physical changes such as melting point or boiling point may occur at widely varying temperature. Okay. Say for example, we have a complex mixture. That means there are so many compounds, not only one compound is present. So there are so many compound is present. Say for example, just like how we will do the fractional distillation. Okay. Suppose if you are given a mixture of solvents which have got various different melting points, boiling points, then what happens? So the compound or a solvent which has got a lower boiling point, that is going to come out from the flask. Okay. So later the little higher boiling point solvent is going to come. Okay. So this will have a wide varying temperature. So that can be examined in the thermal methods of analysis, and also the chemical changes such as decomposition or the oxidation which may take place at different temperatures also can be studied with the help of thermal methods of analysis. Okay. So say for example, so we can observe while doing the melting point check, melting point examination. So we can observe a sharp change in from the solid to the liquid state, a sharp change could be absorbed. Otherwise, some compounds have the decomposition melting point also. So, the decomposition melting point, while writing the decomposition melting point, we are going to give the range. Okay. So, there is no exact melting point which can be determined. For those compounds which are going to decompose, we are going to give the range between some 2 to 3 degrees centigrade. Say for example, urea, if you take urea, so urea has it does not have a sharp melting point. It is going to decompose, that is especially between 110 to 115 degree. Okay. So, in between it starts decomposing at 110 degree, and finally it is going to get charred, or it will form a black precipitate like at 115 degree centigrade. So, that is why while writing the melting point of urea, we are going to write it as 110 degree centigrade to 115 degree centigrade. Like this, we are going to give the range. Okay. So, this type of range of decomposition, this is a chemical change. Okay. So, the decomposition is a chemical change. To say it in simple words, so the crystalline compounds, say for example the inorganic compounds, so they will have sharp melting point. That means we can at a particular temperature, say for example at 115 degree centigrade, so it is all of a sudden it is going to change its state from solid to liquid. Okay. So, those compounds which have this type of change their state from the solid to liquid at a sharp increase in the temperature, so they have a sharp melting point. They are said that they have a sharp melting point. Usually the crystalline salts have got sharp melting point, whereas the amorphous, usually the organic compounds are amorphous in nature, right. So, those compounds which are amorphous in nature, they will have decomposition temperature. Okay. So, usually the organic compounds also undergo oxidation. So, all these chemical changes at different temperatures can be clearly studied by performing thermal methods of analysis. Okay. So, the term thermal analysis refers to those techniques in which some physical parameters of the system is determined and recorded as a function of temperature. Okay. So, here we are going to perform a reaction, or we are going to examine the compound or a sample. How we are going to examine? By using some techniques. Okay. So, what are those techniques? We will see here: thermogravimetry, derivative thermogravimetry, and differential thermal analysis. So, these are the different types of techniques which we are going to use in the thermal analysis. By using these techniques, so we are going to find out some physical parameters of the system which is recorded as a function of temperature. Okay. And the curve which is obtained during the process is called as thermogram. Okay. So, this is about the introduction part of thermal methods of analysis. Now, moving on to the various techniques of thermal analysis. So, it is clearly summarized in this table. So, as I told, so the three main techniques of thermal analysis are thermogravimetry, derivative thermogravimetry, and differential thermal analysis. Okay. So, these techniques are abbreviated as thermogravimetry is called as TGA, derivative thermogravimetry is called as DTG, and differential thermal analysis is abbreviated as DTA. Okay. So, what are the instruments used here? For thermogravimetry, so we are going to use thermobalance. Okay. And for DTG, so thermobalance is the instrument which is employed, and for differential thermal analysis, so we are going to use DTA apparatus. Okay. So, what is the parameter measured here? So, the parameter measured here is, by using thermogravimetry, we are going to measure the mass. Okay. So, the mass of the sample which is under examine is determined. And in derivative thermogravimetry, so we are going to measure, that is dW divided by dt. This is a differential term of weight as a function of temperature, and Differential thermal analysis gives us the information about the change in the temperature. Delta T means change in temperature is measured in differential thermal analysis. How do we plot the graphs? So, for thermogravimetry, we are going to plot the graph as mass versus temperature. That means, so the temperature is taken in x axis and mass is taken in y axis. In the same way, so in DTG we are going to plot the graph, that is derivative form of weight divided as a function of temperature, that is dW divided by dt versus temperature. So, the temperature will be taken in the x axis and dW divided by dt will be taken in the y axis. Okay. Similarly, in differential thermal analysis, so delta T, that is change in temperature versus temperature is plotted as a graph. Okay. So, these are the three different techniques which are employed in thermal analysis, thermal methods of analysis. Okay. So, now we will see one by one. So, that is the first one is thermogravimetric analysis. As I told, so the thermogravimetric analysis is abbreviated as TGA. Okay. What is meant by thermogravimetric analysis? So, thermogravimetric analysis can be defined as, so it is the technique whereby the mass of a substance in an environment is heated or cooled at a controlled rate, is recorded as a function of temperature or time. Okay. So, here the sample or a compound which has to be tested or examined is injected or kept in the instrument where it is called as thermobalance, okay, or thermocouple. So, while instrumentation part we will understand what is meant by thermocouple or thermobalance and how to perform the experiment, where exactly we have to inject the sample, all those things we will see in the instrumentation part. Now, we will understand what is the definition of thermogravimetric analysis. So, as I told, it is a technique. So, where the mass of the substance in an environment means, so where we are going to keep that sample. So, that environment is cooled or heated. Okay. So, we have to check what and all the changes it is going to happen to that sample when we increase the temperature or decrease the temperature. What are the physical and chemical changes that could occur to that sample when the temperature is increased or decreased, that has to be examined. Okay. So, that is why we are going to keep or place that substance in an environment and we are going to heat it or cool it under a controlled rate. The temperature, the increase in the temperature or decrease in the temperature will be under control. Okay. And it is recorded as a function of temperature or time. We can record it as a function of temperature or time. Okay. So, this is what is called as a thermogravimetric analysis. So, for this the instrument which is used is called as thermobalance. Okay. So, I hope you understood. I repeat, the thermogravimetric analysis is defined as the technique whereby the mass of a substance in an environment is heated or cooled at a controlled rate, is recorded as a function of temperature or time, and the instrument used is called as thermobalance. Okay. So, this is what is called as thermogravimetric analysis. As I told, so the parameter which we are going to measure in TGA is mass. Why? Means, as the name itself says, thermogravimetric. Gravimetric means what? Gravimetric means measurement of mass. Okay. So, this you have already studied in your first semester classes. There are methods of analysis. There was one chapter called as methods of analysis. So, there mainly we are going to analyze a given compound in two methods, that is, one is quantitative and qualitative analysis. Okay. So, where the quantitative analysis means the measurement of quantities of a particular constituent. Okay. So, how much amount of or how much mass of particular constituent is present in the given compound. So, that is measured, which is called as quantitative analysis, whereas qualitative means identification of the constituents. What and all the constituents are present, we are going to identify them. So, for example, the experiment which you performed in your previous semester, that is estimation of or qualitative semi-micro identification of given inorganic salts. So, there you were identifying two acid radicals and two basic radicals. So, it is an example of qualitative analysis. Okay. Whereas gravimetry means we are going to measure the mass. So, that is why thermogravimetric analysis is a measure of a mass. We are going to measure the mass of the substance under controlled environment, which is recorded as a function of temperature or time. Okay. So, now let us understand the principle of thermogravimetric analysis. So, the principle of the technique can be illustrated by mass loss curve. So, this is what is called as mass loss curve. So, here you can observe how the mass of the compound, that is MCO3 to H2O, is going to change as the temperature increases. So, this is the initial temperature, this might be taken as 0. As the temperature increases, so here the two molecules of water molecule is going to get eliminated. When two molecules of water is going to get eliminated, definitely the mass of the compound metal carbonate. So, this can be called as metal carbonate. M is generally represented as metal. Okay. So, metal carbonate is decreased. Okay. So, this is illustrated by the mass loss curve of hypothetic compound. So, that is why it is called as hypothetic. So, this is a metal carbonate which is in the form of hydrated version, a hydrated form, 2H2O, metal carbonate. Say metal carbonate means this can be a calcium carbonate, CaCO3, okay, or magnesium carbonate, MgCO3, likewise. Okay. So, M can be any metal. It is evident from the figure. So, this figure, so it is evident from the figure that water is evolved beginning at A. Okay. So, here water has been evolved. So, this water molecule is going to get evolved. So, this is what is called as procedural temperature. This is called as procedural decomposition temperature. A break is obtained on the curve at B. Okay. So, here we can observe a break. A break has been obtained at the curve B due to the stoichiometry approaching that of MCO3 into H2O. Okay. So, here when 2 moles of water molecules is eliminated or evolved, so here obviously based on the stoichiometry, so the molecular mass of this compound is going to get reduced, because the one water molecule is evolved and only one is left here, MCO3 H2O is left at the point or at the curve B. Okay. So, further if we continue the heating, it results in the formation of MCO3. So, here no water molecule is observed. When no water molecule is observed, so it is left with metal carbonate, that is MCO3 is left at the curve C and at the curve D. Okay. So, the drying temperature of MCO3 should be therefore be placed between CD. Okay. So, in between here, so we can see the drying temperature of MCO3. At the point D, so you observe here at the point D, what happens is the compound starts to evolve carbon dioxide. So, here you can, if you can observe MCO3 here, CO2 carbon dioxide is going to get evolved. When carbon dioxide is evolved, it is going to leave behind only the metal oxide, which is clear from E and F. Okay. So, here only metal oxide, that is MO, is left behind. The thermal stabilities of the original sample, the intermediate compounds and the final product can be ascertained from an examination of various regions in this curve. Okay. So, here if we observe the various different regions in this curve, so here we can say the how stable is the compound. Okay. So, here MCO3 to H2O, it is stable till this temperature. Next, MCO3H2O is stable till this temperature. Okay. So, this is stable till this temperature, this is stable till this temperature, and MCO3, that is metal carbonate, is stable till this temperature. And next, so here this is the drying temperature of the MCO3, where the carbon dioxide is going to get evolved. So, that is why, so this is metal oxide. So, this is the thermal stability of metal oxide. Okay. The curve is quantitative in that the calculation can be made to determine the stoichiometry of the compound at a given temperature. Okay. So, this is how we are going to explain the principle of thermogravimetric analysis. So, now let us take one example. So, this is the example of silver nitrate. So, what happens here, if you can observe the curves which has been plotted in this thermogram. The silver nitrate, in this thermogram, the horizontal position, so this is the horizontal position, indicates no mass change, and the plunging portion, so this is the plunging portion, indicates mass change which is corresponded to the decomposition. Okay. So, the mass of the substance remains constant up to 473 degree centigrade. Okay. So, till here, so there is no decomposition is going to take place. That means, so the silver nitrate is stable till 473 degree centigrade. No decomposition is absorbed. So, the mass of the substance remains constant up to 473 degree centigrade, indicating that AgNO3 is stable up to 473 degree centigrade. At 473 degree centigrade, it starts losing its mass. Okay. So, this infers that the decomposition starts at this temperature, losing NO2. Okay. So, this is the reaction which is going to take place in this thermal analysis of silver nitrate. So, where the silver nitrate is going to decompose as a silver Ag plus NO2 plus O2 oxygen is going to get evolved. Okay. So, the loss in mass continues up to 608 degree centigrade. Till 608 degree centigrade, the loss in mass is going to continue. Okay. So, the sample beyond this temperature, beyond this 608 degree temperature, is going to be stable, or the mass is going to be constant. This is shown by the portion of the curve CD. Okay. So, this is CD, this is the curve CD. So, here we are not observing any increase or decrease. So, that is why the mass is going to be constant. Okay. And the decomposition of silver nitrate is between 473 degree centigrade to 608 degree centigrade. Okay. So, therefore, the decomposition is complete at 608 degree centigrade. At 608 degree centigrade, so the silver nitrate has been completely decomposed, leaving metallic silver as a stable residue. Okay. So, this is the metallic silver. So, this is a stable residue. So, that is why we are not going to observe any change in temperature or mass beyond 608 degree centigrade. Thus, the thermogram of AgNO3 clearly indicates the decomposition range for AgNO3. The time interval between B and C. So, this is the time, how much time has been taken between the curve B and C, or the points B and C, is called as reaction interval, and this represents the temperature region in which a particular decomposition takes place. Okay. So, this is the principle of thermogravimetric analysis. So, in my next class we will see about the instrumentation and application part of thermogravimetric analysis. Thank you, dear students.